Tonight, Governor Sheriff Oboriwori swears in two new commissioners. Delta State House of Assembly begins annual recess after legislative business. Federal government returns 13 oil and gas blocks to national licensing pool following unsuccessful bids. ECOWAS reaffirms commitment to launching the ECO single currency. Very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the Delta Television Main News. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and also at YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Joy Ochei is my name. Thank you for joining us. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has sworn in two new commissioners, Mr. Brave Enode and Mr. Moses Sogodo, as well as Mr. Cosmos Igbenije as a member of the governing board of the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPADIC. Also sworn in were Chief Joseph Fujobu, Chief James Sobiowo, and Mr. Fan Ebi Edonyabo as members of the Delta State Judicial Service Commission. The swearing-in ceremony took place at Government House, Asaba. Ejime Udweme reports.
Governor Oboriwori charged the appointees to uphold integrity, professionalism, and accountability in the discharge of their responsibilities. He formally welcomed the two new commissioners into the State Executive Council following the resignation of their predecessors to contest elections into the Delta State House of Assembly. He urged the SOPADIC governing board to consolidate on its achievements in providing infrastructure and human capital development in oil-producing communities while ensuring that host communities are carried along in decision-making. Governor Oboriwori also charged members of the Judicial Service Commission to uphold the highest standards of integrity and fairness, assuring that his administration will continue to support the judiciary and strengthen the justice sector.
We should reiterate that these appointments were based on competence, fairness, and integrity. One of the things we promised Deltas is inclusive governance. And we will continue to do everything within our power to uphold that principle.
Responding on behalf of the appointees, Commissioners Brave Enode and Moses Ogodo thanked the governor for the confidence reposed in them and pledged their commitment to advancing the more agenda.
We are very grateful and we appreciate this golden opportunity you relate to us to come and serve these precious states that we all belong to Delta State. The Excellencies have words alone cannot express our deep felt gratitude for this exaltation you've given to us.
Now that the Excellency has been doing marvelously for the people of Delta State, I'm going to add my own part of it to make sure that his appointing me is not a mistake.
The 6 appointees had earlier subscribed to the relevant oaths of office. Ejime Udweme reporting.
Meanwhile, the state governor, the Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, has called for a future energy sector built on fairness, sustainability, and shared prosperity, stressing that oil-producing communities should benefit more from the nation's natural resources. Speaking through his Chief of Staff, Prince Johnson Erijo, at the Sweet Crude Dialogue in Yenegua, Bayelsa State, Governor Oboriwori said, while oil discovered in Oloibiri 70 years ago helped to grow Nigeria's economy, many host communities still suffer environmental degradation, poor infrastructure, and loss of livelihoods. He urged stakeholders to pursue policies that encourage investment, strengthen local content, protect the environment, and create opportunities for young people. The governor also reaffirmed Delta State's commitment to providing a peaceful and investor-friendly environment through the MORE agenda. Former President Goodluck Jonathan said the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board and the Petroleum Industry Act were established to promote local participation and address challenges facing host communities. Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doyedori, represented by his deputy, Mr. Lawrence Erojakpo, noted that despite decades of oil wealth, many communities in the Niger Delta had yet to enjoy benefits of development. He called for greater attention to the welfare and prosperity of oil-bearing communities. The State House of Assembly has commenced its annual recess after concluding legislative business for the season. After concluding legislative business for the session, announcing the vacation, the Speaker, Right Honorable Emomotimi Dennis Kwo, thanked members for their dedication, commitment, and selfless service to their constituencies. He urged the lawmakers to use the recess to further engage with their constituents, assess their needs, and strengthen grassroots representation. The Speaker announced that the House will resume plenary on Tuesday, September 1, to continue its legislative responsibilities. Communities in the state have been advised to resolve disputes through dialogue and remain vigilant against actions capable of causing conflict. Special Advisor to the Governor on Peace Building and Conflict Resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, gave the advice while mediating separate disputes involving a Gbohurie community in Ughelli South Local Government Area and Amoji community in Ndokwa West Local Government Area. Henry Onogwa reports.
Chief Uzo said the meeting with Gbohurie community followed a petition over the disputed position of President General. He noted that the petitioners alleged that a President General was forcefully installed and had remained in office for about 7 months, while the matter has been adjourned to allow the opposing faction to present its case so that all parties could be heard. He expressed concern that the petitioners took the matter to the Inspector General of Police instead of seeking resolution within the state, stressing that dialogue remained the best way to achieve lasting peace.
Because there are now 2 contending President Generals. And these 2 President Generals are children of the same parents. We have Chris Mokwe, who is saying that he's the President General. We have Gift Mokwe, who also is saying that he's the original President General that was sworn in.
Chief Uzo met with representatives of Amoji community over the installation of a telecommunication mast, adding that the community alleged that they were misled by a supposed agent during the contract process, adding that their lawyer had been advised on the proper step to engage the company's headquarters. The special advisor urged communities to verify the identity of agents before entering into agreements and always embrace dialogue in resolving disputes.
Communities must be vigilant. Somebody cannot come to tell you it's an agent to MTN that you want to erect masts. You don't know the details. You offer your land. There is no agreement entered, and yet you don't know what to do. But we've guided them. We've advised them on what to do.
The delegation appreciated the intervention and commended Governor Sheriff Oborevori's commitment to peace in the state.
I'm very, very happy because we come here for peace. And actually, you listen to us, and so we appreciate you for all what you have done. We are grateful.
I so much appreciate your work to us. It's a word of idea, word of trust. We begin to move forward. You act as a father today, enlighten us, not only enlighten, but show us the road to follow.
Henry Onogwa reporting.
The federal government has returned 13 of the 50 oil and gas blocks offered in the 2025 licensing round to the National Licensing Pool after they failed to attract bids from investors. The chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Mrs. Orishemeyiwa Eyeson, disclosed this in Abuja during the 2025 Commercial Bid Conference. She said while 143 companies participated in the commercial bidding process and submitted about 200 bids. Only 37 of the 50 blocks attracted investor interest. Mrs. Ayerson said the licensing round initially attracted interest from nearly 300 companies, with the number later reduced to 196 after pre-qualification. She added that the exercise was aimed at attracting investors capable of accelerating oil and gas exploration and production in Nigeria. The federal government and the National Assembly have reaffirmed their commitment to supporting the complementary roles of federal and state electricity regulators in Nigeria's evolving electricity market. The commitment was made at a workshop on legal, policy and regulatory harmonization between federal and state institutions on the decentralization of the Nigerian electricity supply industry held in Abuja. Special Advisor to the President on Power and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Power Sector Reset and Restoration, Mr. Railwan Babalola, said electricity remained critical to industrialization, economic growth, job creation, and national prosperity. He noted that while the Electricity Act decentralizes aspects of governance, the nation's electricity networks and markets remain interconnected, making cooperation and harmonization essential. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Power, Senator Enyi Naya Abaribi, said the success of decentralization should be measured by the achievement of an efficient, integrated, and investment-friendly electricity market, stressing the need for harmonized rules between the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, and state electricity regulatory commissions. The Minister of Power, Chief Joseph Tegbe, and NEC Chairman, Dr. Musiliu Oseni, emphasized the importance of regulatory and operational coordination across the sector. The Executive Assistant to the State Governor on Public Enlightenment, Projects and Policies, Mr. Olise Ifejika, has welcomed the Federal High Court's dismissal of the suit challenging the outcome of the All Progressives Congress APC Delta North senatorial primary election. Speaking with newsmen at the Government House, Asaba, Mr. Ifejika described the judgment as a victory for Senator Ifeanyi Okowa and the party in Delta North, adding that the outcome of the case reaffirmed Senator Okowa's position as the APC's Delta North senatorial candidate. Mr. Ifejika also commended Senator Okowa's leadership and contributions to the development of Delta State. He expressed confidence that the party would remain united as it continued to pursue its objectives in the state. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has uncovered suspected fake university operating from a residential building in Badagry, Lagos State, rescuing 106 students. The Badagry area commander of the Corps, Chief Superintendent Benga Ekunola, said the operation followed intelligence gathering and surveillance by security operatives. He said the suspected proprietor has been arrested, while the rescued students are receiving protection as investigations continue. Preliminary findings indicate that the victims, drawn from different parts of Nigeria and neighboring countries, allegedly paid between 200,000 naira and 1.5 million naira after being promised admission into a foreign university. The NSCDC said investigations have been expanded to identify other members of the syndicate and uncover similar fraudulent admission schemes across the country. Still to come on the Delta Television main news, ECOWAS reaffirms commitment to launching the ECO single currency. Details of this and more shortly. Stay with us.
As a host community, try as much as possible to guide your utterances. No company can be intimidated. The companies are also urged to keep to their social responsibility, the corporate social responsibility. I always say it, keep to it. If you keep to the corporate social responsibility, no host community will hold you ransom.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you are watching the Delta Television main news. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has reaffirmed its commitment to launching the ECO single currency in 2027, describing it as a major step towards deeper economic integration, regional trade, and sustainable growth across West Africa. The decision was taken at the 69th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government held in Sierra Leone. ECOWAS leaders said the ECO would be adopted by member states that meet the agreed economic criteria, while countries yet to qualify would receive support to join later. The regional body expressed optimism about the economic outlook for this year, citing declining inflation and improving economic indicators across member states. On security, ECOWAS condemned terrorism, banditry, kidnappings and attacks on school children in the region, particularly in northern Nigeria. The leaders endorsed plans to operationalize the ECOWAS Counterterrorism Brigade by July next year and called for stronger cooperation to address humanitarian, economic and security challenges across West Africa. Britain's new Prime Minister, Andy Bonham, has pledged to prioritize measures aimed at easing the cost of living as he presided over his first cabinet meeting. Bonham told ministers that his administration would demonstrate how its policies will be funded, adding that difficult decisions will be required to address the country's economic challenges. As part of the government's first major policy announcement, the Prime Minister said value-added tax on household electricity bills would be scrapped from October to reduce energy costs for consumers. The government said the measure will be financed by discontinuing the previous administration's proposed digital identity scheme, although opposition parties have questioned the funding plan while calling for broader reforms to tackle rising living costs. Tensions are rising in Ukraine as protesters threaten nationwide demonstrations over the removal of Defense Minister Mykhailo Fedorov. Thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets of Kyiv and other cities, demanding Fedorov's reinstatement and dismissal of the commander of Ukraine's armed forces, General Alexander Syrskyi. President Volodymyr Zelensky is reportedly consulting senior government officials and military commanders in a bid to resolve the crisis, while authorities have denied reports that General Syrskyi has been dismissed. The head of the president's office has appealed for calm, assuring citizens that the government has taken note of public concerns and is working towards a peaceful resolution. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has directed Bureau de Change operators, BDCs, to sell all unutilized foreign exchange balances back to the Nigerian Foreign Exchange Markets, NFEM, within 24 hours after the expiration of the utilization period. The PIX Bank said failure to comply would attract sanctions, including forfeiture of the unutilized funds and suspension of the BDC's access to the NFEM. It also prohibited third-party transactions, directing that foreign exchange purchased by BDCs must be credited only to their registered settlement accounts. The CBN said BDCs under regulatory sanctions with suspended licenses or restricted operations will not be allowed to participate in the markets until such restrictions are lifted. It also announced the establishment of a centralized foreign exchange BDC purchase tracker to monitor BDC transactions and ensure compliance. The Apex Bank further warned authorized dealer banks against imposing exclusivity arrangements or referral fees on BDCs, stressing that violations of the guidelines would attract appropriate regulatory sanctions. Nigeria's petrol imports have risen sharply, reversing earlier expectations that the Dangote refinery would significantly reduce the country's dependence on imported fuel. Data from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, showed that daily petrol imports increased from 5.9 million liters in May to 18.1 million liters in June. The increase in imports has raised concerns over foreign exchange demand, as every dollar spent on imported petrol puts pressure on the naira, despite the Dangote refinery's continued increase in production. Independent petroleum marketers attributed the development to uncertainty over petrol prices and irregular domestic allocations, which they said had forced some marketers to suspend purchases and temporarily shut some filling stations. Meanwhile, the Dangote refinery reportedly operated at over 100% capacity in June, producing an average of 39.1 million liters of petrol daily. However, the refinery also exported some of its output and ended the month with substantial petrol stocks. And in sports, the race for the 2026 Ballon d'Or has intensified, with England captain and Bayern Munich striker Harry Kane emerging as the favourite to win the prestigious individual award. Kane is being followed by Spain's teenage star Lamine Yamal and Argentina captain Lionel Messi. He strengthened his chances after scoring 6 goals at the 2026 World Cup and finishing the 2025 to 2026 season with 72 goals and 7 assists in 61 appearances for club and country. Other leading contenders include France's Kylian Mbappe, Spain's Rodri, Ousmane Dembele, England's Jude Bellingham, Norway's Erling Haaland, and Michael Olise. The 2026 Ballon d'Or award ceremony is scheduled to hold in London on October 26, with Harry Kane currently leading the bookmakers' rankings. That's our news. Here's a thought for the day. A day without laughter is a day wasted. So smile. You have already survived today. And just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. Governor Sheriff Oboriori has sworn in 2 new commissioners, Mr. Brave Enode and Mr. Moses Ogodo, as well as Mr. Cosmas Igbenije, as a member of the governing board of the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPADIC. The State House of Assembly has commenced its annual recess after concluding legislative business for the session. Announcing the vacation, the Speaker, Right Honorable Emomotimi Dennis Gore, thanked members for their dedication, commitment, and selfless service to their constituencies. The federal government has returned 13 of the 50 oil and gas blocks offered in the 2025 licensing round to the national licensing pool after they failed to attract bids from investors. We also reported that the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has reaffirmed its commitment to launching the ECO single currency in 2027, describing it as a major step towards deeper economic integration, regional trade, and sustainable growth across West Africa. You can also follow our news online on Facebook at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba and also on YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire news crew, Joy Ochei is my name. Good night.